Ladies and gents, welcome to another Punk Politics with me, Aid Thompson. The British Labour Party are continuing to try to maintain that balancing act of keeping their members and prospective voters happy with things like workers' rights and employment protections, while trying to not off big business and, more importantly, the right-wing press. Tricky balancing act, that one, isn't it? And one only paralleled by a BBC who pathetically tried to placate CCHQ, who will always ideologically hate them anyway. Lads, we need to keep our members happy while not irking the right-wing press. It's quite the journo-political tightrope walk, isn't it? One that means they can't just come out front and centre and say, okay, everyone gets greater employment protections. Everybody gets a 4-day working week. Even though these studies show both of those initiatives are largely net positives all round. But they can't say those things for fear of being seen as anti-business, anti-economy, at a time where the economy is in such inflation-riddled, stagnated growth tumult. But perhaps more importantly, they can't come out and say those things for fear of giving the government ammunition. And so instead they hold back, they abstain, and they dilute their pledges. But it's a sort of weird dynamic to observe, isn't it? Or at least I think it is. Because it's a political environment where the leading party, and Labour have had between a 11 and 29 point lead for almost 2 years now, are dancing to the losing party's tune. Like the Tories will say, well, if you do that, that must mean you're anti-business. And instead of pushing back, Labour go, oh, well, we better not do it then. Better dilute it. We'll put it off for a little bit, lads. The Tories say, well, if you oppose the Public Order Act, that must mean you're pro-Just Stop Oil. You're pro-Extinction Rebellion. You're against working people trying to get to work. And instead of pushing back, Labour go, oh, well, better abstain then. But there is such a dearth of personality, of presence to Labour on the political battlefield when they persistently fail to show up on things that matter. But even putting aside all of that, all the disappointments that we all feel when they do that sort of stuff, apart from anything else, it's such a warped way of behaving and reacting, like just from a logical perspective. When it's like, look, the Tories are trailing you. You're in the driving seat here. You should be setting the agenda. They should be trying to catch up with you. So how are they, with their abysmal polling, getting themselves into the position where they are sort of spokespeople for what is or is not popular and what should or should not be in the next King's Speech, you know? Hey, popular kid, I'm a popular kid too. What should we do this weekend? Should we go to the mall? Should we ask Brittany if she and Madison want to come to the lake with us? Whoa, that sounds rad, but we should definitely check our plans with Jimmy, the unpopular snotty kid with the hygiene problem. Do you know what I mean? Ridiculous. You're ridiculous. Not now, please. I bet you were the unpopular kid at school, weren't you? That's why you're trying to top up the coolness factor now, the popularity factor with these stupid videos. Can we not, please? You're stuck in Arrested Development high school popularity mode forever. It's just sad. Like if we all tell you that you're cool at the same time, like how much validation do you need? How deep is the ego chasm, the self chasm? Like if we all in unison tell you that you're cool one time, will you just shut the fuck up for a bit? Look, anyway, but back to Labour. Why are they chasing the approval of Conservatives? Like, why are they so scared to promote policies that the Conservatives are just always going to try and reframe as something else anyway? Because, I mean, look, let's put this as brutally as perhaps it needs to be put. If the coin-op at the Daily Express, the Daily Mail, and the upper echelons of the Conservative Party come for you and go, oh, we think your workers' rights stuff is anti-business, you would think maybe the leading party might turn around and be like, I really don't want to be about this, Hugo, but here's the thing. I think people in general seem to prefer our ideas over your ones. So there's that. But also, if I may, I think if I was in your shoes, lads, and I was looking forward at 2024 and looking at your polling, I'm not sure I would personally be opposing unemployment protections. Okay? But no, rather than that, once again, the unrivaled, unparalleled minds at the top of Labour's comms and strategy teams have effectively gone running to small c Conservatives to mark their homework. No, like, do you think this is this a little bit anti-business? You think it is? Oh my God, okay, well, we better dilute it, lads, come on. Like, how have we arrived at a point where the leading party so often abandons their pledges to ape the losing party's policies as though that's the vote winner? You know? It's bizarre. It's like your daughter was 8 points off an A star in her mocks, but then she went to the double F grade cretin to give her a few pointers. Anyway, yesterday, the FT channelled Deputy Leader Angela Rayner saying Labour's policies on employment will amount to the biggest levelling up of workers' rights in decades, as Starmer faced fresh claims he had watered down the programme in an effort to win over the business community. It said she was committed to providing security, treating workers fairly and paying a decent wage. Now, a lot of this stems from a 2021 pledge where Labour said they would create a single status of worker which would encapsulate under 18s and people in the gig economy. But this pledge was reportedly softened last month when they said, actually, lads, we're gonna see what happens once we're in number 10. Yeah. And this is going to be a problem for Labour. And don't get me wrong, I want to see the Tories out. I'd obviously still rather a weird, slithery, unspecific Labour than a nefarious, sociopathic Tory government any day of the week. But my fear is there won't be a Labour government in any capacity if they go into the next GE campaign being this non-committal, on top of the likely CCHQ misinformation machine. Can we just get a manifesto update? Are you going to put in that thing that you said that you were going to put in? Well, we'll see how we feel once we're in number 10. It's just a depressing way for an opposition with a 20-point lead to be behaving, you know? Like, can't you give people reasons for them to vote for you now? Get people G'd up? I mean, you could coast on that poll lead a little bit, couldn't you? I mean, saying that you will reconsult on a matter once you've been voted in, that feels a little bit presumptuous to me. Like, oh, we'll consult on it once we've been voted in, while arguably nuking the reason that some people might actually vote you in, right? It feels a bit like, darling, I want you to marry me. Oh my God, oh yeah, yes, of course. And like, you said that you're 100% committed to me, didn't you? And you're financially solvent and you'd like to raise a little family with me in the Devon countryside. So yeah, absolutely, 100% yes. Right. I mean, I can't say 100% that I'm committed to those things like right now. I'm sorry, what? But I will revisit them in some capacity once we've been married. Right, but those are the things that I need from you, so... Right, so... Look, I'm not saying that you won't get them. I'm broadly committed to the principles, but let's just see where we're at in March, shall we? I don't understand. Like, why won't you commit to this? What are you worried about? Well, it's just that I was thinking about what it takes to make a marriage work, and I thought it was best to ape the ideas of Don, Peter, and James. And Don, Peter, and James, like, all of them have been married 3 times, and everybody hates them. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, it's a little bit that, isn't it? But anyway, the crux of this seems to be the balancing act that Labour are currently performing. Workers' rights v business. Can they still be the party that champion workers' rights, equal pay, employment protections, and solicit the affections of big business who presumably would be expected to pay for a chunk of that? On the workers' rights side, you've got one of their biggest donors, Unite, who say that Labour are clearly manoeuvring a rowing back of one of their pledges. Meanwhile, the Deputy Leader, Angela Rayner, says we're about to see the biggest overhaul of workers' rights seen in decades. Momentum have voiced concerns about Labour's other employment-related pledges. Meanwhile, the Shadow Cabinet say, no, it's fine. No, we're definitely pro-worker because, look, we're going to outlaw fire and rehire. It's a tricky one for them to negotiate. Can they pretend to be pro-worker while cozying up to billionaires? Or can Reeves and Starmer pretend to be pro-business while stealth sliding in some more union-friendly policies through the back door? It's just so tricky to work. Oh, which one? Are they business or worker? For me personally, I don't see why it has to be an either-or situation. Like, if you want to bring in something radical, like universal basic income or a 4-day working week, something that I don't think anyone high profile in Labour is really advocating for. But if you did want to introduce policies like that to the manifesto or whatever, and then you got called anti-business, it should take you all of 5 minutes to Google the studies that show the overwhelming, the huge net positives that these policies bring with them. The way these things are funded, the net benefits to workers and business. You know, like businesses that do this can expect a healthy return via that. Workers who benefit from this policy actually perform better, and so profit margins increase. Like leveraging off the facts and the studies. And then it becomes clear that these are actually policies that work to everyone's benefit. Otherwise, you know what happens? Is what is happening now. Like the Conservatives see a Labour policy that is of net benefit to people and businesses. Like everyone potentially would benefit from this policy here. And they're like, oh, can't have that, can we? So what they do is they go over to business and they're like, hey, business, yeah, look, they're a load of fire-breathing union types. They're on the side of workers. You don't want that, do you? Then in the same breath, they go over to the workers and they're like, oh, hey, look, workers, we're the real party of the working people. Look, they're on the side of big business. You can't trust Labour. And Labour predictably fall right into that divide and conquer trap, dancing on a tightrope to the Tories' tune. But what do you guys think? Do you think Labour should be outspoken and bolder with this stuff? Or do you think they're just playing it safe? You know, keeping their cards close to their chest until they get into government and then they'll become more radical, more progressive? Are you hopeful of next year's manifesto? Or are you like me, where you think actually, whether it's a Tory government or a Labour government or a coalition or PR or whatever, there's actually very, very little that any of them can do. They've got almost no funding to invest in any of our public services or infrastructure. They can't magic money out of thin air for fear of destabilising the currency or bonds or pensions. We're all stuck in this near 0% growth nightmare where there's no tax money to spend on anything because all of our tax money goes on debt. And so without a return to the single market to spark growth and without further hiking tax, there is absolutely nothing that anyone can do to improve our country in any meaningful way. So we will just continue to circle the drain until we arrive at full-on societal collapse. Let me know in the comments.